Well, ladies and gentlemen, just off my last video, that was actually Friday night heading home. But I already did 3 videos Friday, so I'm like, I don't want to do another one that evening. There's been one of these days this week, I did like 5 videos in the day. And I felt they're kind of important, but, you know, like, I don't want to flood people with just stuff. Boom, 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 you know. I'm trying to keep it at 3 a day if I can help it. I used to do 2 a day, as you know, and there was plenty to talk about, and there still is now at 3 a day. But every great once in a while, I do have to throw an extra bonus out there, if you will. So, what is this? What the? Turn the speakers down. We don't want any advertisements popping up when I'm trying to do a video from a web page hidden on the page. And I'm trying to close it, and it just keeps telling me, sorry about your luck. So, Silver Doctors has an article, and this is from Max, Slavo, shtfplan.com. The guy is awake, man. The guy's awake. When I see some of his articles, I may not post every single one or talk about every single one, but the ones that really stand out, and I'll go through them. He's got a valid point. Whether he may be right or wrong on certain things, still has a valid point. It's worth listening to. And this is one of them. Because as part of my little ride home yesterday in that video, we talked, or I shouldn't say we, I talked about, again, North Korea and Syria. We're dropping this giant bomb over here. We hit missile strikes over there. From what I understand, it's the first time that mother of all bombs has ever been used. Like in real life, war combat situation, not testing. So, makes me scratch my head a little bit like this and say, is this Trump just flexing muscles, or are we about to go somewhere? 2017 is, I repeat, is a war cycle start point. And it has been for quite some time before even Trump became president. Way before. It was in the charts. So this article is titled, "Prepare for the Coming War. It's going to obliterate the global financial system. Our economy will not survive." I don't want to use that headline. My headline or title is, "Will the global financial system in our country survive?" Question mark. I think I'd rather ask the question than tell you absolutely this is how it's going to be. Even though some good points are being made. So he says it was already headed towards collapse. I mean, it already is. You can look at the videos I'm doing every day now, showing you data that's proving this. And the costs associated with another major war are going to expedite that process. When it happens, only the folks with real assets will be over water, he says. Will be above water. Now, someone commented on one of my videos here, and I commented back to them, and I think it was Friday's videos. And they said something about, the bad job situation. Don't worry, there'll be an opening in the near future, referring to the military. I think he even said, with what may be about to happen with North Korea and Syria and whatever else. And I said, I've said that numerous times, but it has probably been at least 2 years since I've said it. And what I said was, hey, everybody, all you college grads, it was always when I was ranting on the college student loan debt, students out of work, or recent grads out of work, can't find the right jobs, they're finding part-time stuff, they're finding low-paying jobs, they can't pay back their debt, student loan debt. And I said, I tried to search for certain keywords in my own list to see if I could find, did I have a video titled with something that would stand out so I could show you, hey, I did say this 2 years ago. Couldn't find it. But it's simple. Don't worry. There's going to be some jobs coming. And since you're newly grads, you're just the right primo age group for this particular job. Military. You're going to have a fantastic job waiting on you. Full-time, all the full-time you can get. Bonuses, packages, usually they'll help you go get college after you're done. Get a little grant and stuff. Of course, you already have the debt, so I don't know how that's going to work. Maybe the government will make you a sweetheart deal. Anybody willing to sign up, assuming a giant war broke out and we needed a lot more troops? Breaking news, rather than do the 1960s stuff, with the, whether it's the Korean War and then the, Vietnam. And, we're drafting you. You won't need to draft anybody. The snowflake millennial generation will be at your service. Most of them. Not all of them. Some of them are awake. Most of them will be at your service. Ready to go. They need a job. I'm ready to go. So, good news. You're going to have a job in the near future should this major war break out. Bad news. May not go too well for you. And you're going to have to now be a military person or a troop for the United States of America, and I know you want to maybe be something else. You maybe want to be an engineer or work in healthcare industry or computer IT industry. You're going to put that on hold and go be all that you can be in the army, if you make it back, that is. And then if you're not mangled, you should be okay. Aside from possible post-traumatic stress disorder that'll mess you up the rest of your life potentially. But that's better than having that PTSD and finding out as a veteran, you go to Veterans Affairs and they're not helping you. But Donald Trump, on his campaign rally, boy oh boy did he say and show, from what I can tell, he loves those veterans, which means we got to pump a lot more money into that. We got to pump a lot more money into infrastructure projects because we can't have a terrible infrastructure. Wants $1 trillion spending bill for that. And the war budget may be about to go to epic, unforeseen levels, even so high as JSNP 4 being floored. Absolutely floored. So he says, you know what's so tragic about America? Despite all of the wars our nation gets involved in, we're secretly one of the most peaceful cultures on the planet. We voted for George Bush because he promised us a non-interventionist foreign policy. We voted for Obama because he promised to bring the troops home from Iraq and Afghanistan. And we voted for Trump because he promised to end the nation-building policies of his predecessor. And before any of you, but Obama finally did bring the troops home. Yeah, I got a video on YouTube. Me, got a video. Oh, that's funny. The largest oil contracts ever signed in Iraq happened, and then a day to 2 days later, Obama made the announcement we're pulling the rest of the troops out of Iraq. Well, that's an interesting coincidence. But he held true to his promise, but then what happened after that? Had to bring him back, got back involved over here, go up, never mind, boots back on the ground. Before anyone tries to pull a fast one on me well, Obama did bring him back. Don't even try it. And that's the real tragedy. We've been voting for peace for nearly 20 years now, and all we get is war. That should really tell you something. It should tell you that our system doesn't care about what the president stands for or what the voters want. The system is never held accountable for anything, so there's nothing stopping it. One way or the other, the deep state always gets its way. So if our government wants a war, then you can bet there's going to be a war. That was made abundantly clear last week when President Obama ordered the bombing of a Syrian air base. The attack was so provocative that the Kremlin went so far as to say that the U.S. is now only one step away from war with Russia. The man who was supposed to buck the system and drain the swamp, the man who promised to restore our relationship with Russia and pull back from brinkmanship, seems to have finally submitted to the warmongers in our government. And I'm going to see if it's still there. Jeff Rents, Rents.com. They've already changed it. Did they change it? Maybe. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Stand by. Take a look at this. Circus. Israel, Jew, Israel, Jew, Israel, Jew, Israel, Jew, Israel, Jew. Surrounding him. Surrounding Mr. President. I remember, see, this is a little GIF file. The circus. Ha, suckers. Right? But this is the picture. Jewish, 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 Israel. You don't suppose they're feeding them a line or two, do you, to help us out over in the Middle East get started before it ends? But there's a silver lining in all this, he says. Once you know that war is inevitable, you can accept that fact. You can have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen next. You can finally take steps to prepare for it. As for what to expect, you can bet the farm that our economy is not going to survive the next major war, especially if it involves a conflict with Russia or China. Even if this war doesn't turn into a nuclear slugfest, it's going to obliterate the global economy and financial system. For years, Russia and China have been building an alternative to the dollar-dominated financial system. They've built the BRICS financial bloc, they've been stocking up on gold, and they've been establishing trade agreements that don't involve the dollar. When war breaks out, there's going to be another system waiting in the wings to replace the dollar, which I've told you about for years now, kept up with every little development. We can't say we weren't warned. Which has been the world's reserve currency for decades, our dollar. The war will motivate Russia, China, and their allies to pull the rug out from under the current economic paradigm. Obviously, that's going to significantly weaken the value of the dollar, but it will just be the beginning. The cost of fighting this war will be astronomical. To give you an idea of how costly it will be, World War II pushed our nation into the highest debt-to-GDP ratio that we've ever been in, a level we haven't come close to again until recently. Think about that. We have almost the same debt-to-GDP ratio as we had when we fought the most expensive and destructive war in our history. We have that now. We're at that level now. As the Wealth Research Group has already pointed out, the dollar is practically on life support. Our government is buried in debt and practically broke as it is. And the cost of fighting another war, world war, would put us over the edge. We'd be bankrupt in no time at all. When you consider all of this, one thing is absolutely clear. If Trump drags us into another major war, regardless of whether or not it is global in scope, the dollar is going to crash. It may not even survive in its current form. And when that happens, people are going to flee towards safe haven assets. You can be rest assured that gold is going to make a comeback, the likes of which none of us have seen in our lifetimes. The heavy hitters in the investment community have been predicting a dramatic change in the gold market for some time now. And unlike the general public, they weren't persuaded into thinking that someone like Trump was going to save our country from collapse. For instance, Doug Casey of Casey Research, perhaps one of the most well-respected economic prognosticators, told Future Money Trends in an interview the following. The one thing I feel very confident of is we're going to have financial chaos in years to come, and that's going to drive people into gold and to a lesser degree into silver. There's absolutely no reason from a fundamental point of view for bonds and stocks to be as high as they are right now. We're in a huge political, financial, demographic, and military upset. These people might start World War III, or seem like they're trying to do, with the Russians. It's a very dangerous situation. So he said that back in December, after Trump was elected, but before he took office. Though he was optimistic about Trump, he clearly wasn't convinced that he'd be able to prevent the economic collapse. Nor am I, as I've said numerous times. As much as I have faith in, hey, the guy stands for this, this, and this, let's give him a chance. He's far better than anything Hillary could have ever brought. He's already made some good picks in his administration. Matter of fact, he just made 2 more picks. Was it FDA or something? What the hell was it? Or DHS. Just recently. Wasn't worth doing a video on. It's too short, too quick, whatever. But I was like, oh, those are 2 good picks. Yet we do have, I just showed you, Israel, Goldman Sachs. So it's just whatever. But I still said the train goes down the same tracks no matter who's on board, no matter who the president is. It's going to the same final destination. And I think this time it's the final destination. It doesn't keep going after this one. The economy, everything, the dollar's going to go off a cliff. They're going to have to rebuild again. Problem, reaction, solution, which I struggled with the other day. What was the middle one? Problem, solution. Problem. Oh, yeah. Reaction. Problem, reaction, solution. And during the chaos, people will freak out. There's going to be a mad panic to own precious metals, like the Webbot said is coming. And that's when you and I say, time to get rid of some or all of our precious metals at that time. But we're not there yet. So he said, though he was optimistic about Trump, he clearly wasn't convinced that he'd be able to prevent an economic collapse. Neither was Amir, the CEO of Gold Mining Inc. Without even considering the possibility of war, he predicted that Trump's policies would lead to a gold market rally. So this is really an exceptional window and opportunity for us. We built a war chest with over 21 million of cash on hand, the very large resource base that we have, and that serves as a key point of drawing more companies to us who want to be part of the platform that we're building. So this is a very interesting window for us. I believe this is a temporary window as well, because there's no doubt in my mind that the policies of President Trump will prove to be very inflationary, and these very inflationary policies will drive real interest rates into the negative territory. And I really do believe that the stage is set for higher gold prices, but of course, these things take time to develop and manifest themselves, he said. But when you add war to the mix, it's obvious that the dollar isn't going to be able to maintain its current value. Our financial system is both fragile and under enormous pressure. It was already headed toward collapse, and the costs associated with another major war are going to expedite that process. When it happens, only the folks with real assets will be above water. Assets like land, weapons, food, and of course, metals, gold, will be the only things separating the haves from the have-nots. Strongly agree with that statement. Well, whether we go to war or not, I got a little bit of news for you. All the things he talked about are still blaring, flashing red signs. Big trouble. Remember the movie Big Trouble in Little China? Big Trouble in Little USA. The debt to GDP ratio is terrible. It's terrible like it was in World War II, and we're not in a world war right now. We're still in the Middle East playing little games. But we're not spending money like we were, like when we invaded Iraq, or whether it was 91 or the second round in 2002 or 3 and 4, whatever the hell it was. And we had to go after Osama bin Laden, and we couldn't find him for 10 years. And then all of a sudden, SEAL Team 6 came to the rescue, which was another hoax. Everybody on board the helicopter, the Chinook that crashed and burned and died, happened to be the same guys that went and took out Osama. So you can't interview any of them. You only get the one guy that wrote the book or his story. You only get him. He's the only guy left, or at the time anyways, left to tell us how that really went. Everyone else is, gone. That's because they never existed. It was a fraud to begin with. Just like everything else. How do you get rid of a lie? With another lie. The first lie that Osama bin Laden did that stuff, that was the lie. How do you get rid of the lie? By taking the lie out. Well, you can't take a fake thing out for real, so that's a lie too. Follow me? It's all for show. Again, it's just geopolitical games they're playing. We want the oil. We want the land. You don't have a central bank. We're going after you. You don't sell your stuff for U.S. dollars. We're going after you. That's been the policy for decades. It's been the policy for decades, and I don't see why that would change, except the fact that the dollar's on its way out. And it will be a thing of the past, which is why I think they want to try to gain ground in all these spaces, put our puppet regime governments in place, so that when all this goes down, we got all of our allies again. Allies in all the Middle East. We got our people running the show over there, so we don't have to deal with anything. Because we want to tell the whole world this is our new solution. After causing most of the problem, we're going to now say this is our solution. And only people who are going to get on board are our allies. Or will they? Because you may think, or the club may think, they're our allies, and we got the puppet regimes in, only to find out now that they have power, they like it. And they don't like us anymore all of a sudden. And they want to start their own thing, do their own thing. They don't have to do the bidding of the U.S. anymore. We got power. We know they put us in power, but they're never going to admit it, and neither are we, so we're just going to do our own thing. Then you have a situation like Venezuela, where the dictator who, the first dictator that was put in power, you could argue May have been pro-friendly U.S. at first, then he changed his mind, wasn't, wanted his gold back, and that's around the time you saw Venezuela collapsing and getting worse and worse and worse month after month, and now we're in this thing like 3 years with Venezuela. It is horrible. I read the other day. I almost did a video on it, but I was like, they're now killing, what were the two things? Flamingos? What was the other thing? Flamingos and something else. Catching, hunting flamingos and some other animal. Starving to death over there. Absolutely starving. Unfreaking believable. The question is, will the global financial system and our economy survive? Quick answer, in its current form, absolutely not. Which is why we got to go do the things we're doing this year, because it's go time. It is go time. And I think I said last year, after the Shemitah stuff, hey, Shemitah, then a year later it was the Jubilee one, 2015 to 2016. 2016 now is when it started, Jubilee, the Shemitah Jubilee thing. 2017 it ended. Or 2016 it ended. What happened? Well, but there's the Jubilee cycle, all this crap. Shemitah and all that. And I said, what if it's go time? It could very well mark go time. It looks like it has marked go time, if you ask me. And I have to answer someone's question. Let me switch out my email because they emailed me. In my video that you're seeing before this one, the one in my car from Friday night, someone named Richard emails me right around the time I was driving home. Isn't that amazing? And I was talking in the video about synchronicity. And I showed my phone about this truck with the Phoenix rising from the ashes. And it says Phoenix. And it has 923 for the number of the truck. Freaking, not dump truck, cement truck. I showed you in the video. So I'm talking about, and I use the word synchronicity, and that's kind of odd to me that happened to me, While I'm doing the video, during the time frame, I get an email, not knowing I got the email because I'm doing my video. I'm not checking my phone while I'm driving. I waited till I got home. Richard, J Snip, please look at the address, the link he sent, and view this video. You will be amazed. So, okay, I click it. Oh my gosh, it's the guy that I said to look at the other day, or in that video. As a matter of fact, in that video I'm talking about, in my car. Oh, it's him, the guy who makes the astronomical connections. And talks about 923. He's a religious guy, has his point of view. And you're emailing me that while I'm doing a video about that in the synchronicity. Double synchronicity, if you follow me. Thought that was pretty interesting. So yes, Richard, I got your email. I tried to reply, but it bounced back saying the account does not exist. So, can't email you back. Not that I had anything to say other than, dude, I was just talking about this in my car for my video tomorrow that you'll see first thing Saturday morning. So, take care.